Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Now, a fifth woman has accused Eric Swalwell of sexual assault, and in this case, very serious charges. Now, the second woman saying that he raped her against her consent. He said that she was unconscious. That's what she claims. And also she believes she was drugged by Eric Swalwell. How bad is this? And who knew what and when? How about the Democratic Party? How about his good friends through the years?
How about the media?
Yeah, how about the media too? Well, let's talk about all of these layers and so much more with the great Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary. Ari, these are really serious allegations. And now we're hearing, like just a little bit ago, Ruben Gallego, who was a friend of his, close ally of his there, and a member of Congress, also said, well, I heard rumors that he was kind of flirty, he was this, but, I didn't think much of it. Nancy Pelosi knew that he was hanging out with Fang Fang and put him on the Intel committee. So what do you think? Democrats turning a blind eye here?
Well, obviously, his goose is cooked. He had to drop out of everything that he's never wanted to be in, and deservedly so. But here's my standard when things like this break, because it's impossible for you, me, or anybody else to know what the truth is when there's a he-she argument like this. So when I hear this, my reaction is, how did the person being accused behave? Did he pound the table, deny it, look the camera in the eye, and say, I'm fighting for my life here because this is not true, and I will not quit? If you do that, then you there's a believability to the denial. It's hard because you also want to believe the women making the accusation, but you have to be fair.
Yep.
And you're innocent until proven guilty. In this case, what Swalwell did is say, I've made mistakes. I need to work on my relationship with my wife. Okay, so right away, he's guilty of something, whether it's each and every accusation against him or some of them. But that's my standard. And he came down in a way that makes him look horrible and guilty.
Yeah, right away he came out. In fact, the video, Ari, within like minutes of these accusations last week, he came out and said, well, it's between me and my wife. And so right away it said to me, as someone who's covered a lot of crime cases, he's going to say, oh, it's consensual. Clearly, these acts by the accusers are not consensual, and they're criminal potentially, if true. So this really takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah, and that's the rub. You say, if true. And this is where none of us know. And this is where, I'm a little bit torn because these women deserve to be heard. They need to have their case known.
Absolutely.
Yet I also don't think innocent until proven guilty is just a slogan. So what does a bystander, what does a third party do? You look at the behavior of the person accused, and he is behaving like a guilty man.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Judge Weinberg.
Ira, good to talk to you again. What about the impact of him dropping out in the California governor's race? What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, isn't that a great question? It's fascinating to think that Republicans come in the first two slots, which is the way it has been looking. Now, Tom Steyer is going to likely move up, the billionaire out there. The Democrats are opposed to billionaires, but they'll give him a carve-out if he can win a race. And then Congresswoman Katie Porter, who is highly controversial and unpopular. I think it's too much to dream that Republicans can come in first and second, but I'll keep that California dream alive.
Do you think that maybe the Republicans need to consolidate? And how much of this, Ari, obviously these allegations are despicable. The sort of, I think a lot of people are suggesting that the Democrats maybe even knew, I don't know to what degree, and were willing to turn a blind eye if they thought, he could win. But then when they thought, the field's too crowded, they threw him under the bus, even if the allegations, they were aware of it before.
Well, and you remember this similar happened to Congressman Torricelli in New Jersey, or Senator Torricelli in New Jersey years ago, where he got out just at the filing deadline to escape the corruption charges. Look, here's where what I think about that. I don't know what the Democrats knew or didn't know about his moral behavior with women. What I do know, everybody knew, because Republicans were the ones demanding it. After the revelations came out that he was sleeping with a Chinese spy, Republicans didn't turn a blind eye to it. They said, take him off the Intelligence Committee, and the Democrats protected him. So whether they knew or didn't know about his fooling around with women, They knew that he was a national security threat, and they protected him. And that to me is guilty enough.
I agree. They were willing to accept it and keep him. And,
more than that,
I agree.
No, Pelosi went out of her way to protect him and said, "It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Why are you doing
and
this?"
put him on the January 6th committee. She promoted him.
Because he was the attack dog. He was the attack dog against the president. He was the attack dog against Justice Kavanaugh.
He was the one that was stirring the pot the way that they wanted to stir.
Yeah, he was useful to them at that point, right? No matter what his own personal behavior was.
And now the Democrats have hoisted themselves on the petard that they invented.
How much do you think it's going to affect, to Judge Weinberg's point about the race, how much do you think, Ari, this will affect maybe others in the race? The other Democrats, because, they clearly, many of them were friends with him. How do you think it shakes the race out just from that perspective?
Well, you've got to hope that the media in California is holding people to account, asking the hard questions. I'm not sure that all the hard questions have been addressed to Senator Gallego of Arizona yet, his pal that did hang out with Swalwell. So it really comes down to what will the media do in the final month between now and primary day, or almost, I guess it's 6 or 7 weeks in California to primary day.
Yep.
Will they really go hard after these Democrats? Is it guilt by association, or is there really something there? And I'm hesitant to accuse people of there's something there because, again, I believe innocent until proven guilty, and you don't just make it. But the Democrats do to Republicans is just slander everybody, make baseless accusations, and see if they stick. I don't like that type of politics. But I hope the Democrats get asked the right questions, and if any of them knew what he was doing, then it's going to hurt them even more.
Now, Ari, are the American people realizing what's going on with the Democratic Party out there? I mean, it seems like there's some of them that are just nuts.
Well, there's such a double standard, isn't there? Think of how they treated Brett Kavanaugh. Think about the accusations they made against him, believe all women, and what they did there. And I don't for a second think they would have done this to Swalwell if they couldn't easily replace him. If it was him or a Republican for governor of California, these Democrats would be protecting him today, knowing about all these accusations from women. So there is no principle to what the Democrats do other than to gain power and have women come out and accuse Republicans of things, even if it's not true. And then when it's convenient for them, they'll cover it up if it's a protected Democrat. Swalwell's problem was he's replaceable. Liberals are a dime a dozen in California, and they're counting on one of the other liberals in the race winning.
Wow, that's amazing. That is really eye-opening. Well, Ari, we love having you. Thank you so much for joining us always, and we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.